fishermen had gone out of them and were washing their nets. He got into one of the boats, the one belonging to Simon, and asked him to put out a little way from the shore. Then he sat down and he taught the crowds from the boat. When he had finished speaking, he said to Simon, "Put out into the deep water and let down your nets for a catch." Simon answered, "Master, we have worked all night long but have caught nothing. Yet if you say so, I will let down the nets." When they had done this, they caught so many fish that their nets were beginning to break. So they signaled their partners in the other boat to come and help them. And they came and filled both boats so that they began to sink. But when Simon Peter saw it, he fell down at Jesus' knees, saying, "Go away from me, Lord, for I am a sinful man." For he and all who were with him were amazed at the catch of fish that they had taken, and so also were James and John, sons of Zebedee, who were partners with Simon. Then Jesus said to Simon, "Do not be afraid. From now on you will be catching people." When they had brought their boats to shore, they left everything and followed him. The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Christ. We've all been there. At some point, someplace in our lives, things have not come out the way we'd hoped. We just couldn't catch a break, and life seemed tenuous, on edge, and uncertain. Oh, it probably wasn't at all like Peter and his friends. We weren't making our livings by fishing on the Sea of Galilee. They were able to withstand a night or two without a catch, but beyond that, they risked being able to pay the Roman taxes and still have enough to provide for their families. But we've been in similar situations. Maybe it was early in your working life, that job that seemed to be a perfect fit with a path for advancement wasn't actually going anywhere. You felt stuck, barely able to make ends meet, wondering if you would be caught in the next downsizing. Or maybe you were working all hours of the day and night, aiming toward a big promotion, of making partner or achieving tenure. And there wasn't enough time to balance your work life with your home life. You were giving all you had, but it felt like you were shortchanging everything. There just wasn't enough of you to go around. Or maybe you'd taken the big step, broken free and gone into business for yourself. You had the right skills, you had the energy and the drive, and you knew that you would be working countless hours until you got established. Except that it seemed to be going on and on and on, and you were exhausted. Take today. Take the whole week, in fact. Oh, there'd been shoppers, all right, in and out of your shop, the little bell on the door tinkling with each entrance and exit. And they looked around for a while. They oohed and ahed about what you had to offer, but then off they went down the street for an ice cream or a bag of popcorn or a gin and tonic. No sales. What you needed was one big sale to make this day worth getting out of bed this morning. What you did not need was some hotshot strolling in and suggesting another approach, as if he knew more than your years of experience had taught you. But that's what you got. You knew of this guy, of course. The stories of the pretty amazing acts had preceded him. And here he was with the adoring crowd, coming right through the door and without even asking, sitting himself down like he owned the place and carrying on with his stories. And pretty soon he turned to you and said, "I have a suggestion." You'll never know why you said, "Sure, have at it." Maybe you were too dog-tired to argue, Or maybe it was a little streak of meanness. You just wanted to see him fall flat on his face. You sure didn't want to be his next lesson in miracles. So you shrugged and said, okay, whatever. And you know, all of a sudden that door started opening, that bell started to jingle, and before you knew it, the place was full. And people were buying. You had to get your friends from next door to help with the credit card orders. The line was way out the door and halfway down the block. And right about then, as you were getting ready to close and sort out the receipts, he said to you and your helpers, come along with me, follow me. I have plans for you. What? Now? You want me to leave now, just when I've had the best day I've had all week, in fact all year? Isn't that when you should want to stay? And wait, how did this happen? Why me? Maybe this was all a mistake. You thought I was someone else. It couldn't be me you're calling. Who am I to be worthy of that? Why me? Why now? How is it that we know when we're being called? For I do believe that everyone is. Oh, not as in all being called to ordained ministry or walking away into a brand new life like Peter and the others did. Many of us are beyond the time of seeking out careers. So it might be just a shift or a choice in the life you live right now. How do you know if it's a call or just your own fantasy? Jesus is probably not going to appear like he did to Peter and make it abundantly clear. Or a vision is not coming like that of Isaiah. Oh, no doubt there are people who had blinding experiences like that. And in some cases, they are right. It is a call. In others, it's a delusion. For most of us, though, it's little nudges, something that grabs your attention. And maybe it's easy to dismiss. It's a mistake. It can't be you that's meant. It must be for someone who's smarter or kinder or more worthy. I strongly believe, that a call involves others, a community. Sometimes that community provides an example of another perspective or a way of being. Sometimes that community sees things in you that you don't see, affirms a gift that you have that can be used for the wider good. And sometimes it's the whole community that is called. A congregation, for example, making a difference right where it is, taking part in making the wider community a better, stronger, more loving place. Whether that is the town we live in, the places we work or play, our country, or our world. Isaiah was called to a big community, an entire people. He was first called to speak the truth to them, that they had been unfaithful to their God and were going to suffer greatly for that unfaithfulness. And then, when they were in the midst of the suffering, he was called to give them words of hope, of restoration. Jesus' disciples' calls were huge, too, together and individually to spread the gospel to all corners of the earth, to love one another as Jesus loved them, to make disciples of all people. You know, the Greek word that was used to describe Peter's net that day was the one that means dragnet, one that picks up everything, not just the edible fish, not even just fish, It picks up the sticks and the stones and the logs and any other thing around that water. A dragnet that gathers all things. Those calls are too big, too much for us. Or are they? Last night I arrived home just in time to see on PBS the last portion of It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, the documentary about Fred Rogers. I had seen the entire film earlier this year in the theater. This time I was struck by how what he was saying is so like what Bishop Curry is calling each of us to live in the way of love. Mr. Rogers mentioned the Jewish concept of tikkun olam, the acts of kindness that help to repair the world, bringing it closer to the harmonious state for which it was created. He talked about all of us being called to this repair of the world and for doing everything we can to help our neighbors know that they are loved. And he talked about the helpers, not only helpers in times of crisis, but that someone in your life, someone sometime, quote, laughed you into laughing, sang you into singing, and loved you into loving. What kind of difference might it make in your life and in the lives of others if you thought of your choices and decisions as calls? Might it make a difference? Amen.